All right, folks, for the past hour, Donald Trump has been rambling at a news conference called at the White House. Of course, he is trying to lead the fight to keep Brett Kavanaugh, of course, on the right track when it comes to his Supreme Court nomination. He's going to, of course, testify tomorrow, as well as we'll hear from one of the women who is accusing him of sexual assault. Now, of course, in this news conference, Trump was 5 minutes in before he started lying. He's lied about U.S. Steel building 8 plants. It's a lie. He's lied about, he actually said 52% of women voted for him. No, that's white women, Donald Trump. 41% of women voted for you. Trust me, black women were smart not to do so. And so there were so many other lies we couldn't even keep up. So if he's still rambling, let's just go to the news conference just to see what the hell he's talking about right now.
They were talking about him on the Supreme Court 10 years ago. With all of that, I want to hear what she has to say.
But you said that you don't feel, but you said that you feel like there have been numerous false allegations against you, and that because
I've had many false.
You understand what he means.
I've had many false statements against me, and if the press would have reported, I would have been very happy. I think John Roberts would tell you that you covered the story where the women were paid to say bad things about me. Sean Hannity covered it. I will tell you, when I saw that on Sean Hannity, I actually called him. Believe it or not, I don't speak to him very much, but I respect him. I called him. I said, this is the biggest story. This is a big, big story. He agreed with me. The next day I picked up the papers. There wasn't one word about it. The next day I watched ABC News, John. I watched NBC. I watched CBS. I didn't watch CNN, but next time I'm going to.
And are you okay with
I watched everything. There wasn't one story other than Fox. And it's a big story. It's a shame. Okay, enough. Thank you, Thank you. Thank you.
Is it okay if I give it to the New York Times, Mr.
Go ahead.
President?
That's enough, please.
Okay.
Good job. Good job.
Mr. President, could I ask a question since I am from the New York
Mr.
Times
President.
before this gentleman?
Since you were? Since you were?
I'm actually from the New York Times. Yamiche is my former colleague, and we miss her. But I was hoping I could ask a question.
But I'll let you do it after he does. Is that okay?
That's
I will
perfectly
do that.
well.
In honor of a paper I once loved.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Mr. President, my name is Edward Zoll with True News. Today you met with Bibi Netanyahu from Israel, and you brought up actually that you support a two-state solution.
Now, of course, the exchange you just saw there was with Yamiche El-Sindor, a former New York Times reporter who's now working for PBS. And so she may have been the only African-American who's asked the question. I was listening to it earlier, was not able to watch it, so I wasn't sure who else was asking questions. And so they've asked about any number of things. Of course, it was largely about Brett Kavanaugh, but he's talked about the economy, he's talked about trade, he's talked about, of course, meetings at the United Nations, also talked about Iran, the Kurds, as well as North Korea, South Korea, a number of issues. I don't think anything black has come up, which is no shock at one of these news conferences because you got a few black people who are in the room asking questions. And so I think the question now he's dealing with, it was right before we went. He's also talked about, of course, NAFTA, Canada, Mexico, trade deals as well, has complained about the Federal Reserve increasing interest rates. Also, one exchange that was absolutely just a joke. Y'all gonna love this one. So Trump touted how, oh my goodness, I'm going to be able to appoint 145 federal judges. And then he says, Obama, he wasn't big on appointing federal judges. Actually, he was. But when you had Mitch McConnell, who was blocking and obstructing those judges, when you had Republicans who would not give him the hearings for those judges, that's one of the reasons why there were so many vacancies, Donald Trump, when you became president, because your party refused to have confirmation hearings for the various judges that President Barack Obama actually tried to appoint. And so it's not like all of a sudden he walks to the White House and goes, hey, it's 100 vacancies. Yeah, because it was created based upon obstruction. And I guess we should also remind him that Merrick Garland was appointed by President Barack Obama to the Supreme Court, but Republicans said we're not going to have any hearings whatsoever or even meet with him as a result. And so, again, numerous lies in this news conference. One of the reasons why we use the hashtag Trump Lies Matter. So let's go back to see what any more lies, and I'll take this for a few minutes before we go with the next interview.
So involved. He loves Israel. He loves Israel. But he's also going to be very fair with the Palestinians. He understands it takes two people to be happy, two groups of people to be happy. Everybody's got to be happy. And that's why it's so tough, because there's been so much hatred and anger for so many years. That's what probably the #1 ingredient of toughness is. But they asked me, I said, I think it's going to be a two-state. And you know what I did today? By saying that, I put it out there. And if you ask most of the people in Israel, they agree with that. But nobody wanted to say it. It's a big thing to put it out. It's a very big thing to put it out. Now, the bottom line, if the Israelis and the Palestinians want one state, that's okay with me. If they want two states, that's okay with me. I'm happy if they're happy. I'm a facilitator. I want to see if I can get a deal done so that people don't get killed anymore. When we had in Saudi Arabia, we had one of the great conferences in history. Many of you were there, probably all of you were there. It was one of the most beautiful 2 days. That and China.
Okay, I'm bored.